Listen, it was a strange week. I don't know so much for Chivas, but it was strange for Monterrey, and it was strange for Tigres, though. Speaking of that week, from captain to coach, Guido Pizarro named interim coach after Tigres announced seemingly out of the blue, and I say that lightly, Veljko Paunovic has been sacked. The decision came down after Tigres lost 1-0 against Bravos de Ciudad Juárez last Tuesday. As for Pizarro, his story as a Tigres player ended just as quickly as his coaching career began. I don't even know where to begin, because when I saw this announcement, listen, I have such a high respect for someone like Guido Pizarro, and I don't think I need to explain why and what he's done for Tigres specifically inside and outside of this team, Herc. But are you cool with this switch and seeing Guido Pizarro as interim coach?
I am absolutely 100% cool with this. Listen, I was never a Veljko Paunovic fan. I go back to his Chicago days when he was a Chicago Fire. I did not understand the Veljko Paunovic scheme. I did not understand his demeanor with the players. When he went to Chivas, I didn't think it would work. He got them to a final against this very Tigres team, and in 20 minutes, unraveled a 2-0 lead to lose it. And this Tigres team, after seeing him fail the next season with Chivas, goes out and hires him. I never understood it. The club, the players were never going to respect Veljko and his methods. And in a team like Tigres, where there is a culture, a heritage with those players, los pesados, it was just bound to happen. Now, I didn't think this was too much of a surprise. I know the numbers reflect poorly on the decision. Tigres is currently sitting in third place, but if you watch this Tigres team play, they are not very good. There is a lack of identity. They are willing on pure individual player brilliance. They're willing on player weight, if you will. The weight of the individual player is what's winning these games for Tigres. Not Veljko Paunovic and the methods, not what he's implemented on this team. It's the players individually. About the 2nd of January, there's a report out of Chile, okay? Maximiliano Velázquez, Jorge Almirón's assistant coach at Colo Colo, he is gone because he has an offer from a foreign entity that he's going to accept. That coach, a part of Guido Pizarro's coaching staff. So this offer was on the table the 2nd of January. We're not in the 2nd of January. This move should come as no surprise. It's been in the works for quite some time. I think the root of the problem right now isn't the coaching carousel that's existed after El Tuca Ferretti at Tigres. It's the directiva, the board, who's been in charge of putting those coaches, 6 different coaches, and it's now reminded me of how toxic Manchester United has become after Sir Alex Ferguson. They're going down the same route. I'm hoping that Guido Pizarro, because I know him personally, I know his methods, I know what he likes, I know the type of player he is, the type of leader he is, and how he could potentially turn this franchise around. I'm hoping that is the case. But if it's not Guido Pizarro and it's left in the hands of Mauricio Culebro and this board, they're going to send this team, a storied team in the last 13, 14 years, the winningest team in Liga MX in that time, they're going to take it right down to the toilet. That's exactly where it's going to go. All the eggs are in the Guido Pizarro, head coach right now, and soon to be Andre Pierre Gignac and Nahuel Guzman in that board, if you will, sporting director, president roles for the future. That's what they're saying. We don't want to let go of this golden era. If this golden era can take us into the next phase of their careers, we are riding this till the wheels fall off, and I am here for it. The same era that gave them everything. Now, soccer people in charge of a soccer team. I like it.
I don't know. I'm not that cool with
IDK.
It's very, 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 very old-fashioned to get a player and make him the coach. That was common practice back in the day. But back in the day,
Cholo Simeone.
Long ago. No. But right away from being a team player and then coach, it happens, and it was like usual in the 50s, in the 60s. That was the way you find your coaches. You got your captain, and after the coach went, then you had your new coach, your captain, and that was how it worked. Nowadays, I don't know, because I respect Pizarro, of course I do, but he was part of the problem, wasn't he? I mean, you heard talk about 6 coaches. It's Tuca Ferretti, Chima Ruiz, Diego Coca, Miguel Herrera, Robert Dante Siboldi, Paunovic, he was part of it. He was the captain, wasn't him?
Same captain that won him a title about a year and a half ago. He's the same captain that played 90 minutes in the last game for the third team. Now, the problems at Tigres, and Chris, you back me up here if you've seen enough of their games this season, because I know you're a proponent of the Regiomontanos here. Wasn't the big fish, wasn't those players of weight, the older players, the Nahuel Guzman, the Andre Pierre Gignac, the Carriocas, the Javier Aquinos, the Guido Pizarros. The problem for Tigres is the young players they've empowered who have not stepped up. It's the coach that they put in. One of those young coaches in Veljko Paunovic that's not stepped up. They've not matched the hierarchy of these players. So that's why you still have a team that's dependent on these players, because they're still that good. Carioca, there are times when you're saying he can't move, but there are other they're saying, well, take the ball from him, and you can't. There are times when you say Andre Pierre Gignac has to move on. You have to move on from Andre Pierre Gignac. And there are other times where you're saying, if it's not Andre Pierre Gignac on the field, Nico Ibanez ain't putting the ball in the back of the net. Who else do you have? So these players haven't done enough to push these older players out. And I'm a proponent for young players taking advantage of their opportunities. But Marcelo Flores, how long are we going to wait for that bomba to explode and to be the player we thought he's going to be when he came from Arsenal, when he was in the Mexican national team? Diego Lainez. What year are we in that we're still waiting for Diego Lainez to be the player, the $17.5 million player that Betis paid for him? That same transfer market, Inter Milan spent $12 million on Lautaro Martinez. What about Osiel Herrera? What about Sebastián Córdoba? Because if it's not for that Liguilla that he won Tigres the final, he's not been involved at all. Where are the young players? Uriel Antuna, who's a campeón de goleo, who's got 0 goals right now for Tigres. It's not the older players who are a problem for this team. So I have no issue if there's a change in this culture at the moment.
Right,
what about
right.
being bodies with half of the team? I mean, you're the coach now, and still you've been teammate with most of them for years. How do you switch this hierarchy?
That's probably a really strange thing to have to get used to. But when it comes to someone like Guido Pizarro, that maybe doesn't have to ask for that kind of respect. I understand it's going to be an adjustment. We do have to move on. I understand it's going to be an adjustment. I did have to read the announcement like 3 times because I thought I was reading something completely different. But again, this is probably the best situation in a really tough situation. Like you said, Herc, the numbers don't reflect such a bad situation, but maybe they're trying to take control before it gets to a dire situation.